What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, hit that bell notification so you'll be alerted whenever I drop new content. Also, smash that like button right now for this video. I appreciate the support. And also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BoxingWave10. All right, so listen, let's wrap all of this up with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone that dropped by the other night when I did the live commentary for the video, for the fight. That was the most viewed live commentary I've done up to this point. Barely beating out the Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez fight. Also beating out some of the other fights like I think Joshua Ruiz, Wilder, and Tyson Fury 2. So I really, really appreciate all of the new subscribers, all of the old subscribers, the guys that's been here since day one, and all the people that liked the video, all the people that gave me donations and everything like that. All right, so I appreciate everyone that supported in any way the other night. All right, for all the new subscribers, welcome to the channel. I hope you can continue, watching my videos and liking the videos and supporting in any kind of way. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. All right, it was a highly viewed live commentary. I think we peaked around, I think it was 2,600 viewers at once, which was the most for me up to this point. All right, so let's talk about the fight. I did get to see the fight again maybe the day after the fight. All right, I think later that afternoon I did check it out, just watching it, see if my views was different. I didn't have it any other way. By the time the fight was stopped, I thought, and there were swing rounds in there. I think the first round was definitely a swing round. I think some of the other rounds like the fifth and sixth round. I think I gave those rounds to Billy, but even those rounds that I gave to Billy and maybe a one or two rounds I gave to Canelo were swing rounds. So it wasn't the easiest fight to score because it's really depending on what you liked, but I thought Canelo was the aggressor. I like his body punching, which was expected. I like the power shots that he was landing. Overall, I just like what Canelo was doing better. I think Billy did okay for the amount of time that he lasted, but I don't think he was commanding any real respect from Canelo. I think he had his moments, especially in that fifth, sixth round, where the momentum started to shift a little bit. But overall, I think you could score 5-3, 6-2. I think I heard a few people think that Billy was up on the fight. I didn't really see it that way. But whatever, it's really judging on what you like. But at the end of the day, Canelo did get the stoppage. If you watch my prediction video, I predicted Canelo to win, but I didn't think Canelo would stop him. I thought Canelo would win on points. I just thought Billy would survive the fight. No matter what, I thought he would survive the fight. But at the same time, no one expected Canelo to just literally break his face. And let's get right into that. All right. Now, I know a few of you saw this. The night after the live commentary I did, I almost uploaded another video. Okay. I had it premiering at 2 a.m. A lot of people were still up talking about the fight. And, after watching like the post-fight interviews and stuff like that, at that moment, I wanted to do another video, okay? And it was basically about Billy Joe Saunders and him quitting. The premiere, and I completed the video. And I was going to premiere it at 2 a.m. At 1:58 a.m. Eastern, I received a notification from ESPN that Billy Joe Saunders had suffered a broken orbital bone, all right, and he was gonna have surgery, all right. So, and he was at the hospital. All right, we saw him leave the arena in an ambulance and everything. So, I stopped the video because I do believe Saunders quit. I think Saunders was done. All right, he was done. He wanted out. It doesn't matter if his coach stopped the fight. He made the decision. Billy did not want to continue. If you want to continue fighting, you tell him, I want to go on. It happens all the time. Do not stop this fight. I can continue. Now, we couldn't hear what was being said in that corner, but we do know that Billy did not look like he wanted to continue. Now, this is my stance, and if you've been here before, if you've seen me cover other fights, and you know how I feel about injuries and quitting, we've dealt with this with Daniel Dubois not too long ago. Kell Brook, same kind of injury. We've seen fighters quit. All right. This is when it comes to quitting because of an injury. I think there's levels of it. All right. It really depends on the type of damage to me. So I would never slander Billy for receiving a broken orbital bone. Now, at the time of the fight, or right after the fight, we didn't know how serious his injuries were. This is why I made that video that I never released. All right. At that time, we saw a bruised eye. All right. It was closed, but it wasn't the worst of the worst. We've seen much worse. We've seen fighters continue. So at that time, we did not know the extent of the damage. Okay. Finding out later that he had a broken orbital bone, and I've even heard that he had a broken jaw as well. Like, I don't know if that's been confirmed because I've read different reports that mainly stress the orbital bone around his eye. I don't know if he broke in his jaw too. All right, but regardless, let's just stick to the eye. I think he sustained enough damage to not want to continue. All right. If we're going to call it quitting, then fine. We call it quitting. I don't think he's any less of a warrior for not continuing. But, and it's a big, huge but, we cannot ignore everything that was said leading up to the fight, everything that was done in previous fights, everything that's been done and said by Billy outside of the ring, on his own personal life. Billy Joe Saunders, and this is out of all the people that Canelo has knocked out and stopped and punished in the ring, whether they went to distance or whether they were stopped, Billy Joe Saunders had it coming to him. He is not a victim here. I hope he recovers, because I would never wish this on no one, I respect Billy a lot. You guys know I've always respected Billy as a fighter. As a fighter, I always loved his skills. I always liked watching him fight. Has he looked as impressive lately at 168? No. But I've always respected Billy. So there's no malice against him or anything like that. I would never wish that to happen to anyone. But it's karma. It's bad karma. This is the same guy, and I've read a lot of comments. A lot of people were cheering for him. A lot of people, he has a lot of fans, and that's cool. A lot of people want to back their countrymen, whether you're a part of the gypsy culture, whatever it is, for whatever reason, maybe you're just a fan of his fighting and his boxing ability. But whatever reason you support him, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But is he the best guy? The best kind of guy? No, he's not. He's far from it. He's highly disrespectful. Doesn't have any class. He's an asshole. Let's just be real about it. This is the type of guy that will pull up in a Rolls Royce, right, to a drug addict and convince her to assault a total stranger in order to gain some more drugs, and then drive off after it happens, laughing. A guy like that, and that's just one thing. That's just one of many things that all the antics we see. I talked about his antics leading up to the fight. Billy Joe is all about the antics. He's not a good guy. He's not. All right. Again, there's many more, and we're not going to go down the list because I'm not sitting here trying to convince you, viewers, anything, outside of what you already believe about him. But my point is, Billy Joe was not a good dude. And again, this doesn't warrant what happened to him. But at the same time, it is karma. And you do bad things to people, you say bad things to people, it comes back around. I believe in it. Again, Canelo has punched a lot of people, but he's never completely broken anyone's face like that. And it just so happened to be Billy, one of the slickest fighters and the more defensive fighters that Canelo has faced up to date. He was able to do that against him. All right. Again, I hope Billy recovers. And I think he could still fight if he chooses to. If he has the drive to do it. It's more about the drive. I think he's going to recover. It's more about the drive and the will to do it. Because Billy has been so inconsistent. I've said before here on this video, this camera, Billy is the UK's version of Adrian Broner. You know how a lot of people dislike Adrian Broner because of all of the antics and the stuff that he's been involved with outside of the ring, inside of the ring, the disrespectful things he said and done. People hate him, want him to lose every single time he steps in the ring. But the standards are always different. I don't see him much different from Broner. Yeah, they did different things. Broner got in trouble with the law a little bit. But at the end of the day, you can compare the two, at least. You can at least compare those two. But I see when Broner fights, when he loses, there's so many people that's always slandering him. Always slandering this guy. I'm sure Broner, if Pacquiao or Mikey Garcia or Marcos Maidana even, if one of them broke his orbital bone, there will be a lot of people saying exactly what I'm saying about Billy right now. It's karma. You don't treat people right, sometimes this is what happens. And Broner has his own issues that he's been dealing with. All right? Financial issues. Issues with the law. All right? Things always come back around. So yeah, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, and Billy did kind of underperform, requesting, or threatening to walk away from the fight a few days before the fight because the ring size wasn't what you requested or agreed on with Canelo. Threatening a fight with over 70,000 people. All right, one of the biggest turnouts for a fight for an indoor arena of all time. Almost walking away, or at least threatening to walk away. Didn't think they would do it, but you at least made the threat. Showing up in a Versace robe, telling Canelo to his face that there's more Mexicans that's going to support him. You talk, you got to walk. Discussing judges. Didn't even make it to the judges. That's part of the fight game. It is what it is. Some people don't make it to the judges. Some people get knocked out. It is what it is. But Billy overall underperformed. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. And I say this with Billy and everybody else, these guys at 160 that's not fighting each other, not unifying, these guys at 168 before Canelo got there. What are they doing? You gotta fight. You gotta continue fighting the best. Hopefully you get the Canelo fight, but if you don't fight Canelo, what are you going to do? You can't wait around all day, fight bums in between. How you staying sharp? Yeah, you're staying active, but how are you improving? Canelo had to go through life and death with fighters to get to where he's at today. Canelo wouldn't have been as good today if he didn't struggle against Lara and Triple G and Floyd Mayweather. He wouldn't be as good. So all these other guys like Saunders, like Smith, like Benavidez, it's not staying active, being irresponsible, not staying in shape, losing the titles. These guys at 160, Andrade, I'll speak about him in a minute. Charlo. Who else is there? Triple G. Even Triple G. What are you guys doing? You're just standing around holding titles, talking about Canelo all day. What are you guys going to do? If you don't get the Murata, him too. If you guys don't get the Canelo fight, what are you going to do? How are you going to earn the fight? What's going to be that marquee fight where people are going to be like, oh, you know, like, damn. Andre, when are we going to get that fight? Because Liam Williams wasn't it. Selecki wasn't it. Those weren't it, bro. It is what it is. People are not going to fight they're not going to watch the Liam Williams fight and be like, damn, yo, I don't know. Andrade, this is why I do these votes on my channel. Because I want to see how people are feeling before a fight, after a fight. At one point, the most people were demanding the Andrade fight more than any other fight, at least on my channel. Now, Andrade's at the bottom. They want Benavidez. They want Bivol. They want him to move up and fight better BF. They even want Charlo more because of what he did to Deverenchenko. What are you guys going to do? You know, as far as the futures, Canelo, obviously, he's trying to chase Undisputed. Caleb Plant is the last guy. Hopefully, they work everything out. I don't feel good about it. I mean, hopefully, they've been working things behind the scenes and preparing for this. You know, I don't know what Canelo has to do. I don't know if he has to go on Fox. I don't know if he has to do a multi-fight deal. I have no idea what's going on. You know, but when fighters from other networks, whether they're ESPN, DAZN, whatever it is they're from, dealing with the PBC, who likes to keep things strictly in-house. They don't do much business on outside. They like Fox, they like Showtime. They keep it in-house. I think it will work out. I'm a little worried about it, but it should work out because at the end of the day, Caleb is going to get paid. And they're going to make sure Caleb Plant gets paid. You know, hopefully they don't sell themselves out and overprice themselves. You know, but he's going to get paid. You know, it's going to be a pay-per-view. They're going to make their money if it goes down. But Caleb Plant is next. We know that. And that's for Undisputed. Caleb Plant has the only Canelo has 3 major titles now. Caleb Plant has 1. Hopefully it goes down. They're talking September. Hopefully it all works out. You know? Everybody else, what are you going to do? Same with Caleb Plant. You getting this Canelo fight? Cool. But you're only getting it because you're the only other guy that has a belt. There's no real demand for it. And what have you done to prepare to win this fight? What have you done to prepare? Truax ain't it. You know? All these fighters in between him winning a title and the Canelo fight, which should be next, they ain't it. They ain't it, brother. It's not. How do you like, when you fight somebody like Canelo, right? And I know people are never going to give him his respect because of whatever reason. He didn't fight, I don't know, Andrade at some point. He didn't fight Jamal Charlo at some point. You know, Benavidez doesn't hold a title at the division, so he's not fighting Benavidez. Whoever you think he ducked at some point, people don't like him. You know, you want to bring up the clenbuterol. You want to bring up the judges and previous fights. Fine. A lot of that stuff I agree with, but I'm not going to, at the end of the day, Canelo, with all of that, he still is doing much better than everybody else. Most of these guys are not even fighting more than once a year. And when they do fight, they're fighting someone that has to move up in weight to fight them. They're fighting someone that no one is asking for them to fight. They're not unifying. They're not taking any chances. They're waiting for Canelo. In the meantime, they're picking up these little easy fights in between. How are you improving? So Caleb Plant, good fighter, sharp, defensive, good counterpuncher, is quick. But I don't see anything different there that we haven't seen. We've seen other fighters do it better. We see Canelo fight Floyd. We seen Canelo fight Lara. We seen Canelo fight Billy Joe Saunders. I already seen fighters that did it better, that lost to Canelo. Caleb Planton's not on Triple G's level in any way. Saunders didn't even want to fight Saunders didn't even want to fight Golovkin. You know, when they were both champions in the same division, he didn't want no parts of Golovkin. We did videos about that years ago. Years ago, I was on YouTube talking about that. These guys want the easy route. And the problem is most of these fighters want the easy route. You know? So Caleb is supposed to be next. I did a little poll the other day. Most people want Bivol or Benavidez, if not those two, Charlo. I want all of those fights. I'm cool with all of those fights. I'm cool with Andrade. I'm cool with all of those fights. But we know Caleb Plant is next. After he beats Caleb Plant, which he probably will, if he sticks around at 168, maybe we can get some of those other fighters. But I think right now, some of these other fighters should fight someone meaningful to earn their spot. Benavidez, fight someone that we care for. Charlo, Andrade, fight someone that we care for. Fight each other. Because if this guy is going to be undisputed and he sticks around at 168, he's probably going to fight Golovkin for a third time. But if he doesn't fight Golovkin for the third time, what do you have to do to earn, put yourself in some kind of danger here? Put yourself where set yourself up in a way where people are not too sure you're gonna beat that opponent. None of them are doing that. You know, so whatever you feel about Canelo, listen, some of these things I feel too. But none of these other fighters are doing even close. They're not even giving us a quarter of what Canelo is doing. And he's about to get into his third fight of the year. What are you guys doing? Some of you guys are not even scheduled. You know, so shout out to all the fighters that's getting it done out there outside of Canelo. Canelo's pound for pound number one, and he's been pound for pound number one. All right, everybody else is debatable, but it's number one, and then there's everybody else. There's Canelo, and then there's everybody else. Wherever way you want to move it around, whether you got Bud or Tio or whatever you got, Usyk, you know, whatever way you got it ranked in order, Canelo's number one. And he's selling out arenas right after a pandemic with a not so popular not so popular fighter in America. Billy is not popular in America. You got to give credit to Canelo. I don't know who else is doing that. And I don't even know who else is looking as impressive in the ring neither. I'm not even talking about sales. You know? So yeah, we know Caleb is next. After Caleb, we could talk about the Caleb Plant fight, you know, and that being next, and everybody else is, you know, after that. Billy, again, if he is to recover, hopefully he can be active, stay consistent. All right. Obviously, whenever he returns, he would need a tune-up. But, you know, if he really wants to continue fighting, he can. He's not old. There's still some good fights out there at 168. Some of the ones I just named. Daniel Jacobs is still out there. You know, there's some other fights that could still be made. Andrade fight, try to revisit that. But he just got a big payday fighting Canelo, so I don't know if he's going to have the hunger to do it. If you don't have the hunger to do it, even if you recover from that injury, don't do it. Don't fight. That's really up to him. But as far as him being a quitter, you know, like, he quit. What do you want? He was hurt. He quit. But was it Roberto Duran quit where he just turned around and said, I'm done? No, it wasn't that. He got hurt bad and he stopped. Or he left it in the hands of his coach. It's different levels of quitting. Did I lose respect for Billy? No. Like, I feel like, yo, you got your face broken and you couldn't continue. You know, you live to fight another day. I don't go hard with that quitting stuff. Now, if you just turn your back and walk away and say, I'm done, then yeah, I'm going to lose some respect for you. I didn't lose any respect for Billy. It's just that, you know, it wasn't much there to begin with. This wasn't the thing that made me lose respect for him. As far as the actual fight, you know, everybody talks about what, like, for the people that thought Billy should have done this, should have done that, didn't use the jab enough, you know, he wasn't really using the ring like that. We can all sit here and predict what should happen and what should go down before the fight. But when you're in there, it's always different when you're actually in there. It's easy to look good because, let's look. Billy's best performance was against Lemieux, right? That's the wow fight. That's the fight that we all said, wow. You know, Andy Lee was the best win, but everybody started really paying attention to Billy when he beat Lemieux, right? Lemieux was coming off some good wins. Yes, he lost before, but he had some good momentum at the time. Billy didn't look so good. So when we saw Billy do what he did, it was very impressive, right? But the thing is, he don't always put himself in that kind of danger. You know, like I said before, he don't really take the toughest fight. And he's not always physically in shape, you know? He's not a gym rat. He's on and off depending on the night. So when you're like that, it's really easy to sit here and talk about what Billy didn't do enough. Like, a lot of people feel that. I noticed that a lot of people that, like, make predictions, and I'm not even talking about, like, YouTubers. I'm just talking about in general. People see a fight going a certain way. And when it doesn't go their way, they blame the opponent. They always do that. They did that with Floyd. When people building up to a fight, and when people say, you know, these fighters go like, oh, what is Guerrero and Victor Ortiz or Juan Manuel Marquez or all of these fighters that Floyd had fought. When there's build up leading up to a fight and all these fighters talk about, oh, I'm going to put pressure, going to do this and that. Even Canelo Alvarez. When they underperform, they never give that credit to the fighter that won the fight, which is Canelo in this instance. Canelo is doing something to get that fighter out of their rhythm. They're not able to just do things that they're normally used to doing. He's not fighting David Lemieux. Billy is fighting someone that he has to worry about. He has to worry about the power. He has to worry about the counters. He even has to worry about the jab. He's not fighting David Lemieux, who was coming at him in a straight line and just winging power punches. You know? Who'll throw a double or triple jab to get in on the inside. And what did Billy did? Billy just stepped around him. Boom, boom, countered. Kept turning him. You know why? Because David Lemieux doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the feet. He can't pivot. He just kept going a straight line. Sitting down on everything. No setups. It was just easy. It was too easy. You can't expect Billy to look the same against Canelo. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, reading these comments and just people trashing Billy for losing. Billy never fought anyone like Canelo before. Where was the preparation for Canelo? Where was it? There was none. There was none. There was no similarities. I'm watching, before the breakdown, watching Billy work versus Martin Murray. Before he retires, like the end of Martin Murray's career. Caceres, Isufi, Lemieux. What am I watching here? Who do I have to compare to Canelo? Eubank Jr.? A young Eubank Jr.? Like, not even a seasoned version of him? There's nothing there. Billy, Saturday night, was inexperienced against Canelo. He had his moments, but he got cocky, and he paid for it. You have to give Canelo his credit. Smith, Kovalev, Jacobs, all of these guys going in there with Canelo, they didn't have the experience. Well, some did. You know, Kovalev and Jacobs did. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say them, but Canelo's on a different level, and you got to give him the credit. You don't have to like the guy. But if you are not impressed with him at this point, you'll never be impressed with him. He could, even if he were to beat Charlo. If Charlo was going there and fight, and I love the Charlo fight, I would love to see Canelo fight Jamal Charlo. I love Jamal Charlo. All right? But if Jamal Charlo were to lose that fight, people are going to be blaming Charlo. Why didn't he do this? He should have did this more. Are you looking at what Canelo may be possibly doing to stop them from doing what they normally do? It was the same thing with Floyd Mayweather. Everybody looked good until Floyd got in there with Floyd, and Floyd made him look regular. You guys should know this by now. All right? So moving forward, you know, I didn't like the whole Demetrius Andrade thing. You know, I didn't like what Canelo was saying. You know, I'm glad that he's good with his English now. He's pretty good. I didn't like the language only because I don't think there was any sign of disrespect from Andre and his father for him to warrant him talking to them that way. So I personally didn't like it. They didn't really interrupt his interview. It wasn't really that bad. But in Canelo's defense, I do recall an old the boxing voice. Shout out to the boxing voice. They did an interview with Andre where Andre was calling Canelo a bitch and disrespecting Canelo. So I did think about that. All right, but again, Andrade, I love Andrade, but yo, Andrade, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if you don't get the Canelo fight? Is your legacy gonna be remembered of you just want to be one of those guys that some people feel Canelo ducked? Is that your legacy? What's your legacy? You won a title in 2 different divisions. Cool. Where do we go from here? Like, what's that name you got on your resume that people are going to respect? What's that one fight that you have? I'll tell you my favorite fight. My favorite performance of Andre has been Vanes Monterosian, which is many, many years ago now. That got to be like 8 years ago now. What did we get since then? That was a great win at that time. I haven't seen anything better since then. I haven't seen any improvement with Andre. I honestly haven't. And how do you improve when you keep fighting guys at the same level? How do you improve? Who's making you work on other things? Maybe you haven't displayed what you can really do because you haven't fought that opponent. Billy was supposed to be that performance, and you didn't get the fight because of Billy's fault. Fine, I'll give you that. I'll give you some fights. But there were some fights that you missed out on, and it's your fault. So are we going to live forever just talking about what Andre could have did if he fought Canelo or if he fought Billy? What fight, what are you going to do? All right, so I like Andre, the same with Charlo. I really wish Andre and Charlo fought each other. I want to see that fight. There's bad blood between them. I know that Charlo is the one that's not interested in the fight. I see that Andrade and DAZN and Eddie Hearn has at least made an attempt to try to fight Jamal. Jamal said he's not interested in on camera. I don't know what Jamal is interested in outside of Canelo, but these guys got to do something, man, and just not hope they hit the lotto. Like, you got to do something in between that. If you want to. If you don't care, if you want to keep making money fighting these little fights in between, these so decent fights, then that's your business. But people are not going to respect it. If you want to keep making millions just fighting guys that's okay, then do that. But don't expect for people to rate you so highly. It doesn't work that way. So you can get both. You can make the money and take tougher challenges if you choose to. But there's different standards here. If Canelo fought the fighters that Andre and Charlo and Benavidez and Plant and even Saunders, even Callum Smith, if he fought these fighters that they fight, dude, he would get ridiculed. And he has fought some, Rocky Fielding wasn't good. All right, but out of the couple of fights that we thought were easy or tune-up fights, the majority of his opponents are solid. I can't say the same for everybody else I just named. All right? I'm trying to think if there's any other points I wanted to say about this fight. I think I cleared it up. I think we can really just move on from here. Talking about the injuries and I think I covered everything here. I want to move on and talk about some other things. All right. But Canelo's number one for sure. Billy, I hope you recover and come back, if you want to, if you're hungry to do it. If you're not, don't come back. Don't come back, because you may not really be the same, and you might not be as durable. You know what they say about Kell Brook, who received a similar injury against Golovkin, and then again against Spence. People don't think he's ever been the same since then. All right. So Billy might not be the same, but I still think he has a name good enough to get him some good fights, make some good money. All right. So I covered all areas. All right. So if you haven't already, again, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. Smash that like button. And appreciate all the people, all the new people, all the old people for supporting the other night. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.